Few players from the 90s garner a larger reaction than this player that we're going to talk about today, and we're going to talk about his top 10 cards in my collection. Let's get right into it. Welcome to the most passionate content for card collectors on YouTube and possibly the whole entire internet. As usual, I am your host, Jake Roy, 90s b-ball cards here on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, a little bit of TikTok, doing some different stuff like I said last time. I've got somebody helping me out with that, so hopefully you're enjoying that if you're seeing it. So today we're talking about my top 10 Dennis Rodman cards in my collection. So I've been sharing some different players that I have small collections of. Dennis Rodman is not somebody that I actively collect, but somebody that I definitely really enjoy his cards. And there are a lot of reasons to enjoy Dennis Rodman cards. And, you know, we can talk about a lot of different reasons why some people, myself included, enjoy his cards, but not a core PC. So some of these cards aren't going to be, you know, you're not going to be seeing jambalayas and rubies and crazy stuff like that, you know, because he's not my core PC. But, you know, Rodman had some prolific years. One of those players that I think was very misunderstood, and if he played in today's league, I don't think he would be nearly as notable for his outside of his playing like he was in the 90s. You know, the tattoos that he was wearing would be pretty commonplace nowadays. You know, wearing crazy colored hair, maybe not as crazy as what he wore, but it is not uncommon to see players with dyed hair in the league anymore. And also taking some time for your mental health or whatever, some me time, as Rodman a lot of times would take those trips to Vegas and whatnot. Also not uncommon. We've seen a number of players, especially this season and other seasons, take some time off. You know, just things that weren't common back in the 90s that he did not care. He would buck the trends and do a little differently and definitely set his own path. You know, but also on the playing court, he was absolutely unbelievable. I really enjoyed watching him with the Bulls, even though I didn't like watching the Bulls always beat up on the Eastern Conference with my Hardaway-led Magic, but you know, his ability to rebound, an incredibly cerebral and intelligent basketball player, and his cards reflected that. Some absolutely incredible dramatic photos of him going after loose balls, rebounds. You've seen the photos, and you've probably seen some of those cards, and we're going to talk about some of those cards. So that's some of why I enjoy Dennis Rodman cards. If I can find them in small dollar bins or whatever, or add them to trades to round out a deal, I'm always happy to get a Rodman in my collection. So let's go over my top 10. All right, so here we go, top 10, starting off with number 10. So we've got 96-97 Topps Finest. This is the silver, so kind of a subset, not really a parallel, but definitely more rare than the bronze. And I don't believe that there's a gold for Dennis Rodman in this set, but I love Topps Finest. Really cool there with him with the Bulls pinstripe jersey. Love that black uniform. You know, so this one, number 10 on my list, it's about a $5 card. Not a very expensive card, not one of the more dramatic photos, you know, but Finest mainstays. He was definitely a mainstay for the Bulls, and a mainstay when it came to the top defensive and rebounding players in the league throughout his entire career. Just an incredible competitor. So that a silver set I really enjoy. I like how the silver plays with the theme of this card. I also really like the silver refractors, but this one, not a refractor, just the base or subset, whatever you want to call it. So kind of more rare card than the bronze, but not anything significantly, and the price reflects that. All right, next one, number 9. So getting out of base cards, we have got the Topps Stadium Club Power Zone. This is the members only. So this one was 95-96. You can see him here. This was, I believe, the first year that you started seeing him in his Bulls uniform in cards. I don't think there's any 94-95, but I could be wrong, and let me know down in the comments if I am mistaken on that. But this one is from the members only set, so not one you're going to pull out of the Topps Stadium Club packs. These were in the box sets. So I like having a couple of these. Really cool holographic pattern. This is one of those that I've talked about in the past when we opened up some of these packs where there was a split design. So this is one of the two Power Zone designs, and I like this a little bit better than the other one. So the photos on the other one on the other design are a little bit better, more action capturing, but I like the design here with the hollow foil. Really cool stuff. This one's about a $10 card, so definitely stepping up a good amount from the first one, but nothing too crazy yet. All right, number 8, we've got Hobby Masters, and this is one of those photos that I enjoy the set. Really cool holographic pattern. One of those photos that they captured of Rodman just kind of showing some of his nonchalance, his attitude, and you can imagine him. You know, sometimes he'd be leaning up against a scorer's table, or he might have even been doing that, you know, walking down the court, or, you know, after a foul was called against him, or who knows. But, you know, your imagination can run wild with the scenario that this photo presented itself, and, you know, I think it embodies Rodman. But I love the Hobby Masters, a great theme for a set. Some great players. I love the penny that I have, which also has a little penny coin in the background. Nothing else here, but, you know, he was known as the Worm. He was known as a very collectible player, still to this day, very collectible. So Hobby Masters makes sense for Rodman at that point in time. This one also is about a $10 card. Sometimes it gets a little bit higher than $10, but roughly right around there is what you can expect here. Next one, going back to some base cards, but something that easily could have been an insert for design. So 97, 98, EX 2001. So here we're starting to get into some of those, like I said, dramatic rebounding photos. Love this. Love his Converse All-Star shoes, his signature shoe, which was also inspired from his tattoo. I did write an article with Eric Norton from Beckett, not about this card specifically, but about a Rodman card where he had these shoes on display. So check that out if you haven't seen it already. But this is one of those really cool sets. You know, again, there's no shortage of people gushing over the EX 2000 set, and I've done it plenty of times myself. So this one's about a $10 card as well. Again, a little bit higher, but, you know, $10.50 is about the average that you're going to find for a card like this. This one, you know, obviously condition is something that if it's graded well, it can get better, but mine has a little bit of a scuff mark right above his name. So not anything that makes sense to grade, but again, a very visually appealing card. And I love how the photo really fits in well with the design of this card. You know, almost kind of lends it like a Vanna White type of presentation to not only the set name, but also his name on the side of the clear acetate. Really cool stuff there. Really enjoy that one. All right, next up on the list, we've seen this one before. So this is the 92-93 Stadium Club Beam Team. So this was the first year of the Beam Team, and really one of the first insert sets that started the hobby ablaze with just ripping packs open. So, you know, like I said, we've talked about this one before, but this is the first card on this list where he is in his Pistons uniform. Something that as a kid, I, you know, wasn't really aware of watching for certain players until after Rodman had already started showing some of his crazy hair and tattoos when he was in San Antonio. So I remember asking my dad, did Dennis Rodman always have this hair? And he told me no, he didn't. When he played for the Pistons, he had what my dad called normal hair. So I always thought that was intriguing, and whenever I could find a Pistons card of Rodman, I loved to get it because I thought it was so interesting to see his, you know, really his genesis as a player, in his style. You know, as a player, he was always what he was, regardless of which team he played on, but his style changed significantly throughout the years. So something I really enjoyed. You know, so this one being from an iconic insert set, but also with him in his Pistons uniform, you're looking at about $12. So a little bit of a step up in value. Sometimes they get a little bit higher, but centering is really one of the key things here. You can tell it very clearly from the hollow foil on the top edges of the card. So a nice one there. We've talked about it before. Love looking at that. Another base card, higher in the list than you might expect, but 96-97 Topps Chrome. Again, like I said, it's a base card, but this is an absolutely iconic set. You can see this one's definitely going green. You can see it very clearly on his legs and his arms, and his hair is green. So I think that kind of plays in nicely together. And they're playing against the Celtics, so a lot of green there. And Jordan's in the background, which is why I think this is probably a little bit higher on the list than a lot of people might expect. But also, 96-97 Chrome is an absolutely iconic set. You probably know it for the Kobe rookie as well as the Iverson rookie. The Jordan card has seen a significant rise rise since the Last Dance documentary, but a lot of other cards, the Rodman and the David Robinson, chief among them, have gotten a lot more notoriety because of them being a Jordan Shadow card. But another one where he's got a very athletic pose going after a rebound. Love seeing those shoes there. The Nike Air Up Tempo was a very popular shoe amongst the Bulls, but a lot of other teams as well. And it played off of it was what we call a takedown model of the Air Penny 1. So a lot of stuff there that also draws me to it. And the Bulls red uniform is one that I think is also iconic. Very ubiquitous Jordan jersey. You saw them in a lot of stands throughout the 90s. So, and all of that to say, we haven't even gotten to the value. We've talked about how this is higher on the list. So this is about a $15 card. With the greening and centering, this one probably would sell for a little bit less than average. But the average is right around $15. So not that I'm trying to sell this by any means, but not the most valuable card, but a really cool one, a really fun one. If it's not green and it's centered well, it might be worth greening if you have one in your collection. All right, and next up, big jump here. So we go to the Bowman's Best Shots, and this is a refractor. So this is kind of, in your face version or photo of Rodman going after a rebound. So the refractor here is pretty hard to pick up. The base set and the refractor set have similar reflective patterns, but if you flip it over and you take a look at the back, you can tell it a little bit better that this is the refractor and not the base. But also, if you look at the number, as is typical from this era, you can see underneath it says refractor, and if it was atomic, it would say it on the top and the bottom. So if you're looking at one of these and you're not sure if it's the base or the refractor, those are some telltale signs to look for, but it is not easy to discern. In fact, the last one I was able to get in my collection for Penny was the refractor. I had the base, I had the atomic, but the regular refractor was harder for me to find. So this one, cool one, red hair. I like that whenever he had the red hair with the Bulls. So this one goes for about $20, $25 or so, is what this will go for. Love seeing Rodman in insert sets like this. All right, going into number 3 in the list. Here we've got a 95-96 Fleer Metal. This is the Metal Force. Really cool from the metal set that they incorporated not only some silver foil, but it's all on an acetate. Really cool set. I don't think it's enough love just because it's such a really cool looking set to me. It was a retail exclusive. So the checklist in this also wasn't the most star-studded, but you had Rodman in there as one of the bigger names. Magic Johnson was in there, his comeback season. Grant Hill was in this as well. So if you're looking for one of the cards in this set, those are a couple guys. Other players, Jerry Stackhouse, I think, is in this set. Larry Johnson, and the list goes on. But this was really trying to highlight some players that had a little bit more power in their game. But then again, I don't know why Grant Hill and Magic Johnson fit into that. So regardless, really cool. And I always think about this background looking almost like a shattered backboard, which makes sense for some powerful players. Not that Rodman shattered any backboards, but he was shattering barriers in a lot of ways. So cool one there, him going after a rebound. Really like this. And you can see it's got some kind of faint letters. There is a protective film on this card. Not that I've seen any of these with that removed. I don't know if it's like the finest film, but if there's a film on a card when it's pulled out of the pack, I like to leave it alone and leave it the way it is. So another thing I really like about this is if you look at the back, all those colors, just bursting through, very 90s, but also I think very fitting for Rodman as well. So a lot of cool things that I think fit well for Rodman in this set, which is why I wanted to get this one specifically, one of the few that I sought out to try to get. So this is about a $30 card. You don't see them sell terribly often. So pinpointing a price was a little bit of guesswork, but roughly $30 is what we put on that right now. All right, next one, very condition sensitive. Number 2 on the list It is the 1988-89 Fleer Dennis Rodman rookie card. So if you want to see how Rodman looked as a rookie and then throughout the years, this is one that you've got to get. If you're a Rodman collector, you got to get it as well. So fun set that I actually collected as a kid because it had so many rookies that I really, really enjoyed. And Rodman was definitely among them. Now this one you can see is definitely not centered terribly well, top to bottom especially, but it's also a little left to right off center. So like I said, condition is very key on these, especially the centering. So you can see the prices fluctuate significantly online because if one looks better centered than the other, it's going to be more sought after, it's going to be more collectible. And also if you have one that's well centered and looks like it doesn't have many corner issues, nothing too dramatic, then grading it probably makes sense. If you get into an 8 or a 9, especially a 10 obviously, but an 8 or a 9 definitely gives you a nice little bump in price. So the average of these right now is about $30 to $40. This one I would probably say is closer to the $20 to $30 range because of the centering. And like I said, if you have one that's really well centered, you're probably looking at closer to the 40, 45. I mean, I've seen a couple of copies even go for $50. So that's not unheard of for the Rodman rookie card. But in my opinion, I think that the Rodman rookie in this set is probably the top one when it comes to the rookies. But you do have some other really big names. Reggie Miller, Scottie Pippen are among them, but like I said, I collected this set for the rookies, so some of the other guys I love to have rookies in the set. Horace Grant, Muggsy Bogues, Del Curry, the list goes on for players that I loved in the 90s that had a rookie card in this 88-89 Fleer set. And I also like the design of it, having the team colors, a lot of things that I enjoyed about this. So a fun set for me to collect as a kid and learn a little bit more about the history of some of those players in the NBA from the 80s and some of the players that were still playing at this point from the 70s as well. So really cool stuff there, and definitely a collectible card for a Rodman collector. All right, number 1 on the list. This was a really fun one to pick up. So we have got, as you saw before, the best shots from Bowman's Best, but this is the Atomic Refractor. So this is one that I picked up at a card shop that I go to that's near a summer cottage of my family's every so often. And I have to believe that the card shop owner did not know that this was an Atomic Refractor. He had, the way that he prices things, he'll show 2 prices, kind of almost like, here's the book price and here's what I'm giving you for a deal. The price was $10 on this, which, based on what we talked about with the refractor, for a refractor version, $10 is a little bit low. So this definitely was a steal, and I like it in general, but I definitely like the deal. So these ones sell right now for about $70. So a significant ROI, if you will. If I was selling this one, not that I'm actively looking to move this, but a really cool one that I was happy to pick up for a steal of a price. But also just that atomic pattern, like I said, with the first one, with the regular refractor, something that can get mistaken with the base, can go unnoticed. This Atomic Refractor, it is hard not to notice it when you're looking at it from the front, and if you're looking at it from the back, which is one of the really cool things when you put refractors on an acetate, is you can see it on both sides. Even though a lot of times on acetates, especially in the 90s, they only put the refractor finish on the back, so it's a little bit more muted on the front, but you can see it through on both sides, which is really cool. But also, if you're looking for something to make sure, look by the number. You'll see Atomic on the top and Refractor on the bottom. That's how you'll know for sure that you've got the legitimate one. So really cool card there. Number 1 on my list. If we had done this list about a year ago or so, I would have had the Precious Metals as number 1 on the list, but that one got moved into a penny. So this is something that's always changing and evolving, because Rodmans aren't something that I hold on to too tightly. You never know what this list might look like in a year or 2. All right, so there you have my top 10, so ranging in price from $5 all the way up to about $70, with a lot of room in the middle where things could change. So, again, like I said, fun cards. I really enjoy, even though you didn't see any on this list, cards of Rodman for his short stint with the Spurs. Some really cool cards. I think of the 95-96 Upper Deck as one of those really cool pictures I love. And I do have the Electric Court version, but that didn't even break the $5 threshold, so the gold version would, but there's no need for me to chase that for my collection. So, some cool stuff for Rodman, and it's always fun to have some of those players that you have some intrigue and interest in that can make it easier to round out out a trade deal, or sometimes if you're in a little bit of a lull, not that I have any shortage of lulls finding new stuff to add to my collection, but sometimes if you are, then it can be nice to add one of those other fringe players that you don't have to stress about too much, but you know, something piques your curiosity, you can go and pick them up, and sometimes get some of those cheaper cards as well to kind of keep it flowing, but not to break the bank. So just some fun things that I've enjoyed anyway in my collecting, and it makes it easier to grease the wheels of a deal, which is always advantageous to do, to have some fun with other collectors. So some fun stuff here, but question of the day for me, from me today is what is a fringe player that you like to add, again, to make trade deals work and such. Rodman is one of many, and I can find any reason to add somebody to a deal. So let me know down in the comments who are some of those fringe guys for you that you like to add in, if need be. Rodman has some great pictures, but let me know why also you like to add those players into your deals if you can. So if there's nobody that you do right now, maybe you can suggest some that you're thinking of, or you've toyed with the idea of, or what have you. But a fun thing that I think we can always spice up our collection a little bit. I had run a poll on Instagram saying which one should I do, either the Rodman or Stephon Marbury. We'll talk more about Stephon Marbury because we will do that video. But Rodman won that vote. It was close. A lot of people were interested in both. So let me know down in the comments if there are any other players you'd like to see. I know that I've talked about doing one of Baron Davis, Michael Finley, some other players that I have some fun stuff of. But let me know if there's anybody else you'd like to see down in the comments, and we'll see if we can work that in. But I've got a lot of stuff coming for you in this coming season. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of those videos coming. So we've got looks into my PC, pack openings, interviews with other collectors, and so much more. Thanks. We'll talk later.